What up, YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today, I wanted to get into a topic that is always very secretive in our sport for whatever reason, and that is how much money are these guys making? So I don't have 100% of the info in order to figure this out, but I have a lot of it. And in this video, we'll go over how much these guys made from purse winnings from the race, how much they made in estimated bonus winnings or contingency money. We'll dive into the points championship fund, whether you can make more money per race racing the 250 or the 450 class. And at the end of the video, we'll see how the 250 and the 450 riders stacked up against each other in terms of estimated earnings throughout the Supercross season in 2025. And it was not a fancy operation, folks. We did it the old-fashioned way, with pen and paper and without choice, of course. Now, before I get too much deeper into this, I wanted to make it clear this is not going to be 100% accurate or perfect at all because I had to make some assumptions. First of all, I've heard it reported that 450 per race bonus estimates are 100 grand for first, 50 grand for second, and 25 grand for third. And then I've heard similar reports of the 250 per race bonus estimates being 50,000 for the win, 25,000 for second, and 15,000 for third. Cooper Webb on the Pulp Show admitted to having even higher bonuses than that for winning, so I would think there's a good chance that Deegan is probably also in the same boat. And then you have estimated championship bonuses. These are the big ones: $1 million for a 450 championship and 500 grand for a 250 East or West championship. And none of these figures are going to include rider salaries. I don't have access to that info, and really, I don't know anybody that does. This sport is very hush-hush about how much money everybody is making. In regards to the non-factory teams or the B teams, the totals for the riders on those teams include manufacturer contingency. Factory riders do not receive that. They're only on a bonus program. I wasn't able to find info on Suzuki or Beta contingency for 2025, so their estimates are going to be low. And like I said, none of these are going to be 100% accurate, but I think they should at least be close, minus the salary, and the purse info should definitely be accurate. And before I get into the numbers, I'll explain to you guys how I calculated this. I found the per race payouts on vitalmx.com. I got the season ending points payout from a racer, and I don't know if you can really find that anywhere on the interwebs, so I'll give you guys a little bit of insight on that. I found all the manufacturer contingencies. They're all listed online. Estimates for factory team, race, and title bonuses. And the 450 class and few 250 riders, their totals include Pulp MX Privateer Challenge winnings, and it's just simple math to add it up. And this is only how much these racers made during the actual races in Supercross. Like I said, salaries are not known or included. And just a quick overview of the payouts before we get into the actual rider numbers. Starting with the 250 class, 6 grand for a win, 4 grand for second, 3 grand for third, and then it drops down in $50 increments down to 10th place. And then after that, only drops down in $10 increments, so the motivation is kind of low. And I know what you're thinking at the top, those payouts seem insanely low. And like I mentioned earlier, the real money is in the bonus structures, and you got to make sure you're in the top 3, because the difference between 3rd place and getting a bonus and 4th place and not getting a bonus is massive. And then into the LCQ, that pays too. Even if you get the shaft and have to head to the cheap seats early, you still get a small paycheck for your efforts. You're guaranteed at least $1,000, and then it only is up to $1,100 up until 10th. And really, what all these guys want in that one is that transfer to the main. And then on to the 450s, 14 grand for a win, then 7 grand, 4,500, 36, 35, and then 3,100, 3 grand, and then the payout drops in $50 increments all the way down to 22nd place. And honestly, these top guys probably don't even notice these purse payouts when they hit their bank account because they're raking it in on the bonuses. And then the LCQ, a pat on the back, and 2 grand for coming up just short. You're guaranteed at least $1,250 a weekend if you show up and make the night show, even if you're just the last place assassin. And then the points fund, I feel like a lot of people may not even know this actually exists, but 100 grand goes to the winner of the championship, 40 grand for second, 25 for third, 22.5 for fourth, 17.5 for fifth, and then it starts dropping down in $500 increments down to 10th, and then following that it drops in $250 increments. And if you land in the top 20 in points, you got an extra $11,500 in your pocket at the end of the year. And the last way that these riders are making money is through manufacturer contingency. I couldn't find info on every brand, but I found most of them. Yamaha pays pretty good, at least $500 to make the main, and very top heavy at the top, but a lot of the factory guys will never see that, at least $300 to make the night show. And then Ride Red, gotta make the main to make the bread. They do not pay for just making the night show. You gotta perform, but they pay very well if you do. And for the 450 class, it's a guaranteed $400 if you make the main. For the 250 class, it's down to $350. Here's the Kawasaki payout, and again, I'm really not looking all the way at the top because those factory guys aren't getting this contingency, but Cowie forks over at least $500 if you make the main and $300 for the night show. And again, if you do well, you get paid well. Fastest to get paid, fastest to get laid. Then the Austrian groups, they all pay the same. They're keeping those top heavy payouts for the wins to pay off some of that debt. But KTM will pay $400 if you make the main, nothing to make the night show. And even if you get all the way up to 11th place, it's still only $500 for KTM, Husky, and Gas Gas. And then the last payout schedule that I could actually locate was Triumph, and you don't really see any privateers on those yet, but they do pay well, $1,000 deep into the main event spots, and you're guaranteed at least 500 if you make the main event. And if you're getting tired of my voice, I get it. Feel free to pause this so you can actually read it, or just hit me with the mute, no choice. 250 class contingency payouts by brand. Honda, KTM, and Triumph are lacking with the night show payments, while Yamaha and Kawasaki pay for just making the Fast 40. If you're a main event guy, Yamaha and Kawasaki continue to dominate the payout schedule along with Triumph, with KTM a little further behind and Honda all the way at the back. And I used 12th place because in the 250 class, I feel like that's a little bit more attainable than in the 450 class. But if you can be a consistent P12 guy, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Triumph are still the way to go. Honda a little further back, and KTM getting stingy with it. And then in the 450 class, if you're just a night show guy, Yamaha leads the way again, closely followed by Kawasaki. Honda in the KTM group a little further back, and I wasn't able to find the info on Suzuki or the Beta. If you're just a main event guy, Yamaha and Kawasaki are tied at the top, with Honda and the KTM group also tied closely behind them. And then if you're a consistent 15th place main event guy, once again, Yamaha and Kawasaki are the most rewarding, with Honda and the KTM group quite a bit further back in this department. And then finally, which class pays more per race? And with every brand, the 450 class allows you to make a little bit more money each race because a lot of the contingency schedules are the same for both classes, and the purse payout for the 450 class is a little bit higher than the 250 class. And now the moment you've been waiting for, how much did these guys make in Supercross in 2025, starting with the 250 East and West classes? And these are just the purse earnings from the event from Feld, and Hayden Deegan leads the way with $43,700, followed by RJ Hampshire, Two Jews, Cole Davies, and Seth Hamaker. And one thing you'll notice are there are guys that made more money that got beat by guys that made less money than them in the championship. And the reason for that is the difference in money between each position is much higher at the top of the field than it is back in the pack. So even though inconsistency is penalized in the championship, you can still easily out-earn somebody that smokes you in points if you have enough really good finishes at the top of the order. And now onto the 450s, strictly purse earnings again from the race. Cooper Webb leads the way with $234,750. Seems low, but wait till we get to the bonus portion. Cha-ching! And he's followed by Chase Sexton, Malcolm Stewart, Ken Roxon, and Justin Cooper. Now, one of the big reasons why these guys' payouts are so much larger than those of the 250 class is they have the points championship fund at the end of the year. The 250 class does not. And don't forget, these guys grinded out through 17 rounds, while the 250 East and West guys only have 10. And I wanted to include some of these privateer guys because they're not relying on those bonus structures like the factory guys are. And we got Kevin Moran's at almost 39 grand, Justin Starling at almost 35 grand, and poor Jerry Robin, he wasn't able to finish the series. Still thoughts and prayers with my boy, but just under $28,000 for about 2/3 of a season. Now onto the 250 estimated top bonus earners, and emphasis on the word estimated because I know none of this for sure, but I feel like the estimates can't be too far off or else I wouldn't have wasted my time on this. But once again, Deegan on top, several wins and podiums all season. That's how you make the big bucks. And I estimated that his win bonus per race would be a little bit higher than everybody else's. But for the rest, I used the criteria I explained at the beginning of the video, then in second, and check the difference between those top two and the rest of the field. Those $500,000 championship bonuses go a long way as those two are way ahead of everybody else. And believe it or not, Juju, Cole Davies, RJ Hampshire, and Seth Hamaker all out-earned Tom Viaud on a per race basis, but when that championship check hits, you can buy whatever you want. Then on to the 450s. Holy crap, my brain does not even work in numbers that big as we're into the millions now. Cooper Webb once again leads the way with that massive $1 million championship bonus that everybody is reporting comes along with the title. Then Chase Sexton in second still made a crap load of money, but just about the only difference between he and Cooper Webb's bank accounts this season is going to be that championship bonus. Roczen in third, and as you can see, it drops down pretty quickly. There's a huge difference between first and second, $100,000 compared to $50,000. And if you get third, you only make a quarter of what you would make if you would win, so that's why there's such a big difference at the top. And notice there was a lot more names on that 250 list. The 450 class podium is usually a lot more solidified, a lot harder to break into. And again, if you ain't in that top three, you are not making what you deserve. Now onto the 250 top contingency earners, and I'm not 100% sure on how this one works for all these teams. I'm under the assumption that the B teams probably get contingency from the manufacturers rather than a bonus structure. And on top, with $33,750 in bonuses, is Club MX's Cody Schock. The second place overall at the Triple Crown was a huge one in terms of Yamaha bucks. Then Colin Park raked in the Ride Red cash in the mud. He's second with $26,000. Then Max Voland, another Club MX rider, third. And if any of these non-factory teams were to be paying bonuses, if I had to guess, I would think it would be Club MX, as they've stepped up their operation a lot in the last few years. But I really don't know. And then Hardy Munoz and Jack Chambers are 4 and 5 due to their participation in the Pulp MX Privateer Challenge. And then 450 top contingency earners, not a whole lot of them in the lineup. I didn't go that deep into the points, but Shane McElrath leads the way, almost $34,000. Just like Colin Park, raked it in the mud with a second place. And then another benefactor of the Pulp MX Privateer Challenge, Kevin Moranz, comes in second after making nearly $25,000 on a Friday in Denver. And then third and fourth, more Ride Red action from Dylan Ferrandis and Joey Savacci, Mitchell Harrison doing it for the boys in green, and then Jerry Robin and Justin Starling. And really, I'm dying to get to the 250 and 450 estimated top earnings comparison. But real quick, 250 SX estimated top earners. On top, Hayden Deegan, almost $1 million. Then in second, Tom Vial, 2 Jews Beaumare, RJ Hampshire, and Cole Davies. And don't get me wrong, I wish it was more. We all do, but at least when you combine contingency and the purse payouts for each event, the guys that are grinding it out in mid-pack in the main event and even towards the back, they at least get some chump change for their efforts to throw back into the program. And zero hate comms because I'm just glad he finished the season, but how crazy is it how far back Austin Fortner is? Thank God for a fat salary being a factory rider. And then our 450 estimated top earners, Cooper Webb over $2 million, no choice. Chase Sexton a little over $1 million, and then a big drop to Ken Roczen, a little over $400,000. Malcolm Stewart and Aaron Plessinger, both nipping at the heels of $300K, round out the top 5. And in a very similar situation to Austin Fortner in the 250 class, it's crazy to see Justin Barsh's name so low on this list, but you know he's raking in some stacks with the salary, so no tears shed for Bam Bam. And also, it's really cool to see what the inception of that Pulp MX Privateer Challenge has been able to do for some of these guys like Kevin Moranz, but he's the 14th estimated top earner in the 450 class due to all the winnings he made in that Friday Exhibition National. And one more thing that's kind of wild on this list is the fact that Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac are 7 and 8 after only racing about a quarter of the season, but when you win a race and make $100,000 in a night, that vaults you right up the order every time. Last thing before we get into our 250 and 450 comparisons for estimated overall earnings, I wanted to share a story about one of my homies, Justin Rodbell, a privateer and an HVAC extraordinaire. He made $21,350 through all the 450 LCQs this year, was not able to make any mains, but he was there week in and week out. He made $5,350 from 250 Supercross racing. He made $1,836 from the Pulp Privateer race. And the crazy part about this story is he made $17,000 from one race by getting 4th in the mud on a borrowed 250F. He got $8,000 in donations from Pulp MX listeners because they loved the story, $5,000 in Honda contingency, $2,000 from Fly, and then of course $2,750 from Feld. And when you put it all together, the dude has made a grand total of $42,966, all while working HVAC during the week. Talk about the working man, no choice. And now, finally, let's compare our overall estimated top earners from the 250 and the 450 classes. On top, you had to expect it, Cooper Webb, over $2 million. He had 17 races to do it, got $1 million championship bonus, and he's laughing all the way to the bank, shooting finger guns, cradling the baby, whatever he needs to do, he's already done it. Then Chase Sexton, again, 17 races to do it, a lot of $100,000 win bonuses, and over $1 million. I wouldn't be upset about it. And then in third and fourth, a couple of 250 riders, Hayden Deegan and Tom Vial, with those $500,000 championship bonuses to boost them up the order, up ahead of a lot of those 450 guys who had a lot more races to make it happen. And remember, we're under the assumption that a 450 Supercross win pays twice as much as a 250 Supercross win. Same with the championship, $1 million compared to $500,000. So you see Deegan and Vial all the way up in third and fourth as 250 riders, but then you don't see any more of them all the way down until the 10th spot because only those two could lock down the championships and that $500,000. But after Deegan and Vial, we got Roxon, Stewart, Plessinger, Justin Cooper, Jet Lawrence, and then we have our onslaught of 250 East and West riders, two Jews Beaumare, RJ Hampshire, Cole Davies, and Seth Hamaker. A couple more 450 guys that vacated the series early, Eli Tomac and Jason Anderson round out the top 15. And then you get into the territory of the guys that are race winners on 250s mixed in with the 6 to 12 guys in the 450 class. And if you ask me, I would way rather race half the competition and less races on a 250 and make the same amount as going into the Lion's Den and racing the 450s all season. Maybe this will be a bit of an eye-opener for those of you that hate on the guys that stay in the 250 class. This is why right here. And then we've got the rest of the field that I did calculations for. Still crazy to see Justin Barsha all the way down in 31st. But again, this doesn't include the salary that we know he has. My boy Rodbell vaulted himself up to 36th with that huge weekend in the mud and the support from Pulp Nation. Got tons of privateer journeymen back here like Justin Starling, Hardy Munoz, Jerry Robin, Henry Miller, Hunter Yoder, Jack Chambers, Gavin Towers, Cole Thompson, and the rest. But finally, after a very long-winded presentation and a lot of calculations, that's all I got for you guys today. I really hope that was something different and something that y'all enjoyed some insight on. I'm not sure that I've ever seen anybody go quite this in-depth on the earnings with the contingency, the Feld payout, and everything in between. And again, I know it's not going to be perfectly accurate, but I feel like I had at least enough guidance to get it to where I'm at least in the ballpark, but maybe I'm not. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you think I'm out to lunch, if you think I'm close, if you think I'm cooked, if you want to hate, you know we're here for all of it. But I appreciate y'all watching. Thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.